begin with Sheffield United, who have become the 13th team in Championship history to fail to win a single point from their first 4 games. It's after they lost 1-0 away at Middlesbrough. 3-word reviews for Middlesbrough. Jamie says, shag me, Edwards. Jay says, sexy Rob Edwards. Stuart says, love you, Rob. JH says, first place, baby. Jono says, peachy Borough redemption. For Sheffield United, Gary says, absolutely embarrassing. Matt says, lacklustre, pathetic, boring. Ashley says, Sellés out now. And George says, sack Sellés now. Yeah, probably wouldn't have been too surprised at the start of the season if you said a team from Sheffield would have 0 points on the board after 4 games. You would have been surprised, though, when you found out which one it was. But Middlesbrough, meanwhile, Justin, have become the 9th team in Championship history to win all 4 of their opening games. Their best start in 31 years. Another brilliant victory for Rob Edwards' boys.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? The fact that nobody fancied Borough at the start of the season, yet they are the team with the 100% record. It's interesting. I know a lot of Middlesbrough fans are also sceptical, and arguably one of the weakest squads we've seen over recent years as well. But it's hard to say that they've not been impressive. I'll say it again, not been blown away by them, but things have been very nice and steady. And I think all the worst traits of this Borough side that developed under Michael Carrick. In the first 4 games, they haven't been there. For example, poor game management, disorganised defending, conceding goals, missing chances. We've not seen that yet. I say yet, it could happen. But yeah, good value for their 100% record so far this season.
Yeah, they were good. They were very well organised, always looked the more likely in this one. How much of that was down to them and how much of that was down to Sheffield United, I don't know, because it wasn't a great showing again from the Blades. I watched this game live yesterday, and in the second half, I didn't think they were that bad. That is against a low bar, however. And they were lucky it wasn't worse because Sidney Peck was lucky not to see a red card in the first half. And ultimately, they finished the game without a shot on target. Again. Last season, they had just 1 game where they failed to produce a shot on target, and that was Leeds away. And this season, they've managed it twice already after just 4 games. They haven't scored in over 5.5 hours of league football. And need I remind everyone, this is a team which has Gustavo Hamer, Louis Barry, Tyrese Campbell, Callum O'Hare, etc. It's one thing losing your first 4 games, Justin, but being that dreadful going forwards with those players, that's criminal.
It is poor. It is poor. It shouldn't be the case. I do have sympathy for Rubén Sellés in some things, but the worrying trend with him is his Hull side struggled to create last season as well. Didn't give much away defensively, mind. But yeah, going forwards, they were quite blunt and not scoring, not creating, and it was a touch and go at times for relegation for last season under him. But there are problems. We know this, but as we say, we go into another game where it's just half chances that have been created, no shots on target. Getting into Borough's box, they barely got there. For contrast, Middlesbrough had 41 touches in the Sheffield United box compared to Sheffield United having 15. And like you said, the players he reeled off, they should be getting in more threatening positions, definitely. You can't always create a lot of chances, but you're not even getting into the areas to create the chances. So that's a really worrying trend. And you can't defend Rubén Sellés for that.
Yeah, it's not a good look as well when after the game the manager is stood in front of the away end and getting roundly booed in front of the whole squad. Yeah, not a good look at all. And I really don't know what the answer is now for Sheffield United. The summer's been a disaster in terms of recruitment, and it's left them scrambling around in the final fortnight of the window to try and get it right. You just look at their recruitment from the past few days and it stinks of panic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Danny Ings, Tariff Chong, where's that come from? And this is what you get, Justin, when you get Ash Jeeves to do your signings. And then the manager, I mean, I like Rubén Sellés. I think he's a good manager, but this start has been as disastrous as it could have possibly been. Not just with the results, but with the performances as well. So much so that I wouldn't be surprised if Sheffield United did dismiss him over this international break. I don't think they should, because it's just 4 games. I think given the time, he would turn it around. But at the same time, I wouldn't blame him if they were to knock this experiment on the head already.
Here's some food for thought, Ryan. Actually, the contrast is quite similar. It reminds me a lot of Hull last season, where Liam Rosenior leaves Hull, Chris Wilder leaves Sheffield United, two revered figures at their clubs in their own right. It then becomes a disastrous summer of recruitment. They leave it late to recruit. Their manager that they bring in, Tim Volter, Rubén Sellés, they both struggle to get things going, and ultimately down to recruitment. And they both struggle. The similarities there are massive. They're absolutely massive. So it's a huge worry. And you are right. The recruitment at the end of this summer for Sheffield United, at the end of the window, it does stink of panic. That being said, I thought Jaffet Tanganga against Middlesbrough was fantastic. He was a one-man defensive show. So him withstanding, yes, the recruitment has been strange. Vinny Sosa, where's the replacement for Vinny Sosa? Because the midfield balance is another thing that needs to be pointed out. It's not there. You're not getting the best out of Gus Harmer because he's having to do two roles in that midfield where he's having to drive the team forward and be a ball winner. And Sidney Peck's been left exposed because his start to the season's been a disaster as well. Because Vinny Sosa did all the work in that midfield, not replaced him, and you're left with a mess. So, yeah, recruitment. Everyone in recruitment at board level needs to look at themselves, because this has contributed massively to where Sheffield United are at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying every signing they've made over this summer has been a bad signing, but as I say, it just stinks of panic. Do you think he'll go over this international break, Justin?
Ooh, do I think he'll go? I don't know how naive this board is, because the whole AI nonsense, sacking Chris Wilder so late in June, they've made some pretty interesting decisions over the last 8 or 9 weeks. So it wouldn't surprise me.
If they're sacking a manager for getting a record-breaking points tally, but not sacking a manager after
the bar?
4 losses, yeah.
Yeah, where's the bar? Look, Sheffield United haven't seen a bigger upheaval since the summer of 2021 when Slavisa Jokanovic came in. Seen similarities here. Don't think it's down to Rubén Sellés. Of course, he needs to improve the playing side of things, but he's been shattered massively. Would I be surprised if he goes? No, because this board has left me with a lot of question marks. Should he be sacked? 4 games isn't enough.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. But well done to Borough. As I say, just the 9th team ever in the history of the Championship to win all of their opening 4 games. And the question is now, Justin, is it time to start believing?
Look, there's still so long to go. So many more predictions for me to make for Borough as well. So, yeah, a lot can go wrong. But good starts, they do help massively. Sunderland won their first 4 games of last season. So, yeah, it does help. But there are 42 games left. We still need to see that forward line get tapped into in terms of the potential it has on paper. Otherwise, we could start to see a lot of draws progress throughout the season, but we can praise them. Definitely, they've been good. That's something that I really wanted to point out is the issues we saw under Michael Carrick in the first 4 games of this season. We've seen them ironed out. If that continues, they will get better. Enough to believe in them. Let's temper it a little bit.
Yeah, well, the Middlesbrough we've seen so far have been pretty similar to Rob Edwards' Luton side. Very organised, pressing high, wing-backs getting up, not creating a massive number of chances, but they're efficient in front of goal, and it's obviously working, an absolute treat. I mean, that midfield 2 of Hayden Hackney and Aidan Morris are the best in the Championship. It's as simple as that. It was right up there last season as well, but this season, really, really coming of age. Sammy Silvera has been an absolute revelation at left wing back, typically a winger who hasn't pulled up many trees at all since coming to the Championship, but he's really caught the eye in these first few games. Callum Britton, one of the best wing backs in the division on the right hand side. Tommy Conway up front has had a good start in front of goal, and they've got players to still come into the side in attack. How they'll get on, I don't know. I'm not totally convinced about that back 3 of Ayling, Fry and Jones for an entire season, even though they have done admittedly very well so far. But it's a terrific start by Middlesbrough. And I always said I don't think Rob Edwards should be written off after 1 bad season. On a personal level, he has bounced back excellently so far. And it's always nice to see that big, beautiful smile once again from a gorgeous man. A 106th minute equaliser from Jack Clark saw Ipswich snatch a late point at home in a 2-2 draw with Derby County. 3 road reviews for Ipswich. Ron says, try to lose. Sue says, still waking up. Finn Bob says, promotion my ass. For Derby, D-Lab says, Brewster's found home. Ben says, ref's broken watch. Derby so close to an incredible 3 points, and it says a lot about how this game went that as a Derby fan, I'm disappointed we only left Portman Road with a point, Justin.
Just quickly, the biggest disappointment I had coming out of this game is David Ozo gave away the penalty in the last minute, and I put in a group WhatsApp, David Bozo, and nobody laughed. Nobody laughed.
It was all right by your standards anyway.
Oh, come off it. It was hilarious. Anyway, I think I don't know where I sit with this, because I thought Ipswich created more than enough to win the 3 points. But then again, I can't criticise Derby's away performance, because in terms of dominance and creating better chances, Ipswich were there and maybe didn't get the rub of the green with one or two decisions, which I'm sure we'll get onto in a moment. But yeah, I thought Ipswich were good value for something. But when you get to the 103rd minute, 104th minute, whatever it was, and you're 2-1 up and you give away a penalty, as daft as it was from David Ozo, clumsy, yes, it's frustrating to come away with just a point as a Derby fan. So I think there's progress there for both teams, but I imagine as an Ipswich supporter, you're disappointed, really disappointed. You
didn't actually give it enough credit, just in 106th minute. John Eustace was absolutely fuming with the amount of added time in this one. He's usually quite reserved, but he was not a happy bunny, even though Derby were very clearly trying to do what they could with the dark arts. So maybe that added time was justified. But this was much more like the Derby I was expecting this season. They've been very poor in these first 3 games. This was the resilient and stubborn Derby that I was looking forward to under John Eustace. Ipswich didn't have a shot on target from the 56th minute until the 102nd. Derby did a brilliant job of keeping them at bay and managed the game well. Unfortunately, came down to one lapse by David Bozo. But otherwise, I was very happy with this. 4-4 now for Carlton Morris. Very good news for those of us who backed him at top goal scorer at 100 to 1. Ryan Brewster.
100 to 1?
Yeah, I said this at the start of the season, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Ryan Brewster, unbelievable. Got on the score sheet as well. Very impressed with him in this one. Bobby Clark looks a fantastic player. Lewis Travis, brilliant on his debut, even though perhaps a bit naughty with one certain moment. So very happy with this performance as a Derby fan. And we've now signed Ben Brereton Diaz. So what a weekend it's been for the Rams. But from an Ipswich perspective, Justin, I would not be letting that late penalty cloud what was another concerning performance of the Tractor Boys.
Yeah, again, I don't know whether I'm just being a bit too kind to Ipswich, or maybe it's my Derby cynicism setting in. I think a draw is probably the fair result. I think if you look at this game, the way Ipswich started the game, they started the game slowly, but actually from 25 minutes onwards, they looked like they could have scored 2 or 3. They hit the woodwork, obviously got the goal, and they opened Derby up a lot. It's the start to the second half that really did them, because Derby really disrupted them. Really disrupted them. Ipswich struggled to get going, and I think that's the issue that we've got with Ipswich. But in terms of it being a concerning performance, I thought they created enough to win it over the course of the 90 minutes, but it's hard to get away from the fact that they're still having those moments, those lapsing moments where they're letting opposition score against them. The Ryan Brewster, wonderful finish, but he should never have been in that position anyway. It was just a couple of errors, a couple of bad decisions. Weird way of saying it, but yeah, there are those moments that are letting him down at the current time.
Yeah, I think you'd be very generous to Ipswich, because, as I say, they didn't have a shot on target from the 56th minute until the 102nd. And I just can't get my head around Ipswich, because they've got all this talent and they're playing so poorly. If it wasn't for that brain fart by David Bozo, we'd be having a serious conversation about Ipswich right now, I think. So I don't see why that should be any different, despite that mistake right at the end, because there's no obvious reason why they've started so poorly. It's 3 points, still winless. They've got a manager who is Premier League quality. The squad is possibly the most talented we've ever seen at championship level. It could definitely be argued that that's the case. And so far, they have looked poor. They've lacked any killer instinct that you'd usually get from a team widely predicted to be promoted. And yes, it is just 4 games. I cannot emphasise that enough. We shouldn't get carried away. But at the same time, I was saying the same about Luton last season. Not saying the same is going to happen in the long term there, but a team with that talent should really be flying out the gates in my eyes. And when you're looking at reasons why it's not working so far, it's hard to say. I guess getting back into the winning habit is difficult after a season where you've won just 4 games. But maybe they're struggling with the tag of being promotion favourites because they've always been the underdog before, haven't they? In the Premier League, when they got promoted from the Championship, even when they were in League One, I don't think they were the favourites to win the league that season. So being expected to win almost every game, it's a big mindset shift, isn't it?
Yeah, this is what I was talking about at the start of the season. I was struggling to come up with reasons not to suggest that Ipswich was going to get promoted. This was one of the things that I came up with, as well as Lee Grant departing. But I think there's a little bit more to it. It's a new look midfield. It's a new look defence with a newish system. There's new personalities in the group. There's been a lot of change over the summer, probably more than we've taken for granted. And I think our mindset as supporters generally of football is new signings coming in. They're good signings. They're good players. They're going to be good. It takes time for everything to gel. And I think that's what we're seeing. We're just seeing a lot of teething issues because even the current group of players who were there last season, the likes of Jack Clark, Jaden Philogene, they're not quite hitting their stride because mentality, they could be in a position where they are sort of used to, I wouldn't say losing, but they don't have that winning mentality yet. So there's that. And also I think controlling games has been a massive issue for them. They've not yet done it. Birmingham is a great example where they lost control of it massively. This one, they lost control of it in the second half massively. So there's a lot of shifting that needs to be done. But when we talk about players, they're good enough to be doing better. And Kieran McKenna's good enough to be, or he's better than what the team's putting out at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right with everything you say there. I think the international break has definitely come at a good time for them, hasn't it? Possibly more so than any other side in the division, because I think they needed it, especially because Ipswich have been very busy in the final days of the transfer window and may continue to be up until the deadline. Since Thursday, they've signed 4 players. Of course, that includes Marcelino the Rat Nunes from big rivals Norwich for up to £10 million. Darnell Furlong's joined from West Brom for up to £4 million. The striker Ivan Azon has come in on loan from Como, nicknamed the Shark, but that was a deal which looked like it had stalled, but then out of nowhere suddenly came through. Most eye-catchingly of all, they've broken the championship transfer records, getting 19-year-old Norwegian attacker Sindre Eagerly from Nordsjælland for £17.5 million. So upwards of 30 million spent in just a few days, Justin.
Yeah, it's been a splurge. It's been necessary. I don't know. I've always maintained the fact that I think the squad's been good enough and deep enough to compete and win promotion. The right back situation is a strange one. Darnell Furlong coming in, they've got more than enough depth there. They've got Ben Johnson, they've got Harry Clark. I know he's injured, but he's going to come back at some point in the season. He's definitely good enough at this level. We've seen it. Similarly, Ashley Young can play there. So is the money being, I wouldn't say spent wisely, is it being spent appropriately across the squad? Maybe not. I don't know. But there's a lot of quality coming in. That means there's a lot of pressure. So again, that shifts things. It's almost going to make it maybe a little bit harder for Ipswich. But the likes of Amara Hutchison, they've left, so they need to be replaced. And maybe they've done that. We'll see. Yeah,
I completely understand where you're coming from, because I found myself at a bit of a quandary when it comes to Ipswich's recruitment. I've always put them in the category of very smartly run club, and you can usually just put a tick blindly next to every transfer they do without even thinking about it. But some of their business this summer does seem a bit odd. I look at Casey McAteer, talented player, but 11.5 million for someone with fewer than 50 appearances at championship level or above. It seems a bit strange. 4 million for Darnell Furlong. As you mentioned, they've got a lot of depth there anyway. Very solid right back at this level, but a fair bit of money for someone who seems to be nothing more than a second choice. They fought off a lot of competition to get Chuba Akpom, but doesn't immediately seem to be part of Kieran McKenna's plans. And Eagerly, if you're a championship club spending that much money on a teenager, he must be someone you think is going to become an elite player.
Yeah.
Surely you've got to be thinking that. I don't know. I haven't seen him play apart from YouTube compilations. But how easy is it to judge his potential when he's been playing in the Danish league? I don't really know. Despite this start, I still definitely think at this very moment Ipswich will win the league, because the amount of talent they have is miles ahead of everyone else. but I'm not totally sure what the thinking is behind some of these transfers, Justin. That's what I will say.
Yeah, it's a good point to bring up. Obviously, a lot of Bristol City fans will look at Mark Ashton and go, well, it's got him written all over it. But that's probably a debate for another day. They're spending a lot of money. And I think, like I said, that creates a lot of pressure within the club, internally and obviously externally, because even with Ipswich, if you think back to the squad that they went up with, yes, it was a League One squad, performing remarkably well, but yeah, it was fun. And then as soon as a lot of money gets spent, it becomes less fun and it gets very stressful at games. Like the atmosphere at Portman Road on Saturday was incredible, but that's because there's desperation there, because the club wants to get back into the Premier League. So yeah, it creates a lot of pressure. It creates a different mentality and a mindset within a squad that has been used to a completely different thing in recent years.
Yeah, as I say, been underdogs for pretty much the entire reign of Kieran McKenna, haven't they? So it's not been a great start for promotion favourites Ipswich. It's not been much better for the second favourites for promotion. That's, of course, Southampton. They drew 2-2 with Watford and haven't won since the opening day. 3-word reviews for Southampton. The Walking Saint says, same old Saints. Toby says, Saints need height. For Watford, Alan says, free kicks, backflips. Ben says, Bar and Irankunda. Yeah, I think the biggest story from this game is the meeting between the two greatest free kick takers of our time, Justin Ryan Manning and Nestori Irankunda. Both have scored 2 already this season.
Never saw Ryan Manning coming because I cannot remember if he's ever been this good at free kicks before. However, I am really enjoying this Roberto Carlos resurgence he's having. Yeah. And then Nestori Irankunda has scored 2 types of free kicks in 2 consecutive games. So he might be a generational set piece taker. I'm not exaggerating. I saw some idiots say on Twitter, and I will say that Gavin Bazunu should have saved Irankunda's free kick. Shut up. No chance. No chance.
No. Absolutely right. That was a stunner of a free kick. And these two, it's like a modern day David Beckham versus Juninho Pernambucano, isn't it? But yeah, that Irankunda, he looks a really exciting player, and his free kick was stunning. I mean, he looks exciting just on the pitch as well, not just from dead ball situations. He looks really lively. So it's certainly an interesting career he's had so far, going from Adelaide United to Watford via Bayern Munich. But at just 19, he's clearly got a lot of ability, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. But as we say, another game without a win for Southampton. Probably should have won this one, though, Justin. They were ahead twice and had the better chances. So yeah, they may be looking at this with a bit of regret.
But yeah, it was loads better. But they still switch off defensively, which I imagine will turn Will Still from a vibrant ginger to a greying mess in no time, much like yourself, Ryan. But yeah, it must be so. It must be so stressful. I can't remember which show it was this week. It may have been last week's review show. But I pointed out that Southampton keep losing the ball in central areas, and they get hit on the transition, and the bar goal, the Watford goal, first one, it came from a deep ball centrally and then breaking away. I think it was Ryan Manning who was on the ground, but it's a joke how it's somehow become consistent that they concede the same type of goal every game so far this season, and that's why I do feel a bit for Will Still. They should have won this game. You're right, they created enough and they were led twice, but when you keep making the same defensive mistakes over and over again, yeah, you bite your fingernails very short, being a Southampton fan.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's definitely a lot of room for improvement for Southampton in all areas, really, because you're right, they haven't kept a clean sheet yet. Can't do much about a 30-yard free kick going in the top corner like it did here. But
you don't have to give a free kick away, though, do you?
Yeah, that's true. But they've given up a fair few chances as well in these first 4 games outside of that free kick. Putting away chances appears to be a bit of an issue, and kind of going off what you were saying, just overall game management could be better from what I've seen. So they seem to lack an element of control, and I would say there's a lot to work on. But of course, they've been busy in the transfer window. They're the other team who have spent over 30 million this week. They announced a triple signing on Friday, including, of course, Tom Fellows and Finn Azaz, which we mentioned previously. They've also spent 10 million on German midfielder Kasper Janda from Nuremberg. So Saints, another team, splashing the cash after a tricky start, Justin. Money solves everything, apparently.
Just if I say that to everybody.
Hey, more money, more problems. You know what I'm saying?
I think Southampton need it a lot more than Ipswich do. They need the additions a lot more than Ipswich do, because I think the balance is a little bit off in that team. Weirdly, I don't know how they recruit for this. They need more bastards. there's not enough bastards in that Southampton team because, like I said, you're losing the ball in central areas quite often. Get some horrible dirtbag in there to retain the ball, win the ball back, etc., and someone to defend like a bastard. Like I said, very basic analysis of what I think they need over the next.
They've got Shea Charles and Flynn Downs, haven't they?
Bit nice though, aren't they? They are a bit nice. Shea Charles looks like a lovely lad, and Flynn Downs. I do rate him, but he's just a bit arsey. Maybe off the pitch, not on the pitch. He's been more arsey on the pitch, but
I'm not sure. Maybe this Casper Yander is the answer to that one because, as I say, they spent 10 million on him. So maybe he's the bastard, or maybe he's the one who'll be able to control the game a bit better than what we've been saying, Justin. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they do any more business before the deadline tomorrow. Let's have a look back at how we did with our predictions in Friday's preview show, and I managed to close the gap between Justin and I to just a point after my outsider of West Brom to beat Stoke came in, which we'll talk about shortly. Justin's banker was a winner. Middlesbrough to beat Sheffield United, and it means the scores are now 5-4 to Justin Peach, having been 3 points ahead 2 games into the season. I've managed to claw you back already, Justin, you rapscallion.
4 games in, Ryan. You're getting carried away with a lot of teams and yourself. Calm down, right? 4 games in. 4 games in.
I'm level-headed, mate. It's you who needs to watch your back. But we're back with another round of predictions after the international break a week on Friday in the next preview show. Just we'll take a quick break. After that, we'll talk about a crazy game at Ashton Gate, as well as West Bromwich Albion continuing their unbeaten start. Hello everyone, just a quick one for me. We're currently running a survey to get a grasp of all your viewing habits here on YouTube. If you take the time to answer a few questions, you could be in with the chance of winning a PlayStation 5. All you need to do is hit the link in the top right-hand corner of this video to get involved. Go on, click it. Click it. Click it. Thank you. Welcome back to the Second Tier Podcast. This is the review show where we're looking back at all the action from across the Championship over the past weekend. And we're going now to a crazy game at Ashton Gate, which finished Bristol City 4, Hull City 2. 3 reviews for Bristol City. Phil on our Patreon says 4 goals again. Charlie says sexy Struber for Hull. Paul says room for improvement. Matt says really rather shit. 49 shots in this game. 49, 29 for Bristol City, 20 for Hull. And watching this game back, I thought 4-2 actually did this game a disservice. There should have been more, Justin.
No defending, just vibes. At what point does a game become oversaturated with shots? At what point is it?
I mean, I was enjoying it.
You must have done it. It'd be interesting to get the actual word from fans in the ground. At what point does the game become boring? There's just too much happening. But yeah, 49 shots is ridiculous. Really is. But look, 49 shots, 6 goals, you're going to get your money's worth. And that's all you can ask for as a fan.
Yeah, they definitely did get the money's worth here, didn't they? Hull were 3-1 down at half-time, and we'll probably look back at it and think we should have definitely got back into that one because they had the chances, didn't take them, partly down to some unbelievable goalkeeping by Radek Vitek in the Bristol City goal. That save from that Ollie McBurney header might genuinely be save of the season. That was outstanding. But then on the flip side, Hull really shot themselves in the foot again and again at the back. They were so open on so many occasions, and Bristol City really punished them. I have really been enjoying them so far under Gerhard Struber. They look like they're going to be a lot of fun to watch this season, don't they, Justin? And the supporters have quickly moved on from he who must not be named, who's now, of course, at Norwich. But it is back-to-back losses for Hull. What have you made of their start to the season, Peachy?
I think the best way I can describe it is I got atted by a couple of Hull fans over the weekend pointing out that Rubén Sellés lost again. But I think you've got to really look at your own house here because...
I was going to say, they can't really celebrate, can they?
No, I know Sellés is bottom of the Championship with 0 points, but the amount of chances that Hull are conceding really is frightening. Got the 3rd worst XG against in the division, and it's a very leaky defence. They've shipped 12 goals in 4 games. They could see the 3 or more in 3 games so far this season in all competitions. It's been defensively poor. They look exciting going forwards. I think this game pretty much sums Hull up in a nutshell, really, where they do add value to a game because there's so much attacking quality on show at times from the Tigers, but defensively it's an absolute car crash. It's not good at all. It really isn't. Can be better. Can be loads better. Which is a stark contrast to what we've seen of Hull. They're quite pragmatic in possession under Liam Rosenior to defensively wise under Rubén Sellés to no defending at all. And that's not sustainable.
Yeah, I would put it down as a low-key, worrying start for Hull. They've got a win on the board, which is great, but that did come thanks to an injury-time win at home to one of the poorest teams in the league in Oxford. And if it wasn't for that result, I think there'd be a lot more concern about them. Defensively, in particular, as you're alluding to, Justin, they have been woeful. 9 goals conceded in their last 3, and the sheer number of chances they've given away has been pretty frightening. Which is strange, because defensively, man for man, that's where they look the strongest. If they lose Charlie Hughes on deadline day, the alarm bells would be properly ringing for me. Has to be pointed out, they've got some important players to come back from injury soon, which will be a really big boost for them. And yeah, as you say, attacking-wise, they've been looking all right. But considering the scepticism over the manager who's come in, I wouldn't say he's erased any concerns we had. Put it that way, Justin.
Yeah, I think it's a case of, we need to see how it goes. But I think what we've seen so far is they give the ball away a lot. They lack a lot of control in the midfield. Defence is a massive drop-off. The attack's better. It's a thumbs up, but you need to get the balance right. So that's something that needs to be rectified. And you've got 2 weeks over the international break to do it. I think the other concern you need to throw into it is Hull can't buy any players. They're relying on free transfers and savvy loan signings, which is that enough to drastically improve a team? It's not. So, can we see Hull realistically improving throughout the season? Sure. They can do. We know they can keep opposition out. They've done it under the last 2 managers with a similar group of players that's slowly evolved. But there are red flags. But as I say, we're 4 games in. Let's see if those red flags turn to green flags.
West Brom continue their unbeaten start with a 1-0 win away at Stoke. 3 reviews for West Brom. Elite Rec says Nathaniel Harry Phillips. Stu says professional away performance. Billy says we're going up. For Stoke, Miles says uncharacteristic Johansson mistake. Nick on our Patreon says 2 good teams. Joe says reality check Potters. Yeah, a very solid win for the Albion against a side who had won 3 from 3, lest we forget, Justin.
Yeah, this is it with West Brom. It's very solid. It's just very solid. I've not been excited by them, but I've not been disappointed by them. They've been ticking over nicely. 10 points from 12 is a very, very impressive return for a manager who's still in his infancy as a head coach, as the big dog, if you like, in Ryan Mason. So, yeah, there's still a lot they can be doing to improve, but it's been a very solid start. And as I say, 10 points from 12 is a very impressive return.
Yeah, even more impressive when West Brom lost 2 important players in Tom Fellows and Darnell Furlong, their entire right-hand side, just days before the game. It could have been a big problem for them, but they handled it very well. They started this game really well. The goal came from a fair bit of fortune with Victor Johansson dropping it straight to Nat Phillips' feet. But then after that, they stayed very well organised. We stood a fair bit of Stoke pressure in the second half and managed to get another 3 points on the board to continue Ryan Mason's impressive start to management. And we actually had a bit of chat in the second tier Discord yesterday. Our Patreon Phil was asking, have West Brom gone under the radar? And I think you could definitely make a strong case for it, Justin.
Yeah, you can, because I put a tweet out on the second tier Twitter that annoyed a lot of West Brom fans, suggesting that they've accidentally found themselves in second place. But that's because they have gone under the radar. And they are chipping away. And this was a game that I think just highlights the fact that they do still need to improve, because this would have been a 0-0 had it not been for Nathan Phillips.
Now Phillips even.
Yeah, calling him by his birth name.
You're his mum.
Exactly. He's only done right in my eyes, as Nat. But yeah, they're just not blowing teams away. Defensively, they look really, really good, look really organised, but they are much stronger defensively than they are going forward. Because you look at the depth in attacking positions with Tom Fellows leaving, there's still a lot needs to be done in the next 24 hours, which is quite interesting. Arnie Hegebo, the big signing from Norway, hasn't yet got going. Josh Madger still needs to get fit. Or DK still needs to get fit. So yeah, there's gears to go. But yeah, they have gone under the radar. I think if they can bring in a playmaker and another two wingers, one to replace Fellows, and I think they need more depth in the wide areas, then we can see what they do. But maybe they fizzle out. That's me pouring water on what has been a good start. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I think you're being overly cynical when it comes to West Brom, because they're perhaps unlucky to not have 4 wins from 4 after some interesting refereeing last week against Portsmouth. But it's easy to forget with West Brom. They finished comfortably in the playoffs a couple of seasons ago. They spent more time in the top 6 last season than out of it. So the squad there is already strong. The big question was, how would Ryan Mason get on? Because we had no idea. Otherwise, the foundations are there for West Brom to be strong again. They've been very shrewd with their business over the summer. Alfie Gilchrist has come in this week. I think that could be an exceptional bit of business. And you've got players who can step up this season. Isaac Price being the best example there. He's doing that already. So I'm not going all out and saying everyone should be backing them for promotion right now, because they have lost some big players this summer. We can't forget how good Torbjorn Heggen was last season as well. But there's definitely reason to be excited about the Albion, is what I would say. 2 late goals saw QPR get their first win of the season at home to Charlton. 3-1 it finished there. 3-word reviews for QPR. Matt on our Patreon says, still must improve. Freddie says, season starts now. Stephen says, Koki Saito returns. Fly on our Patreon says, Koki Saito Subrashi, which means excellent in Japanese, apparently. For Charlton, Jay says, don't take chances. Yeah, first win of the season, a goal for Richard Kone on his first start, a goal for Koki Saito on his return. Nay.
There we go. The Saito goal was brilliant, wasn't it? It was a lovely run and justification for that big old price tag. But actually, the Kone dummy for the Paul Smith goal was bloody lovely. The football IQ on Kone there was high. So fair enough for neighing, but look, they conceded 7 last weekend. Let's remember that. What a week, though. What a week. You sign a few players and you win 3-1 and your perspective changes completely, because lest we forget, Ulu and Stefano had calls for him to be sacked last weekend.
Maybe a slight overreaction, that wasn't it? But yeah, this was a really good way to bounce back after that rather embarrassing result last week. QPR started very well, but then did find themselves on the back foot for a lot of the game after the first 20 minutes, but they defended well, restricted Charlton to very little, and eventually killed the game with the 2 goals at the end. So, look, it wasn't domination or anything like that, but for me, we saw glimpses of how good this team could be. You mentioned the lovely dummy by Kone to let it run for Paul Smith for the first goal. Some lovely link-up play between Kone and Karamoko Dembele for a chance in the first 10 minutes. And there's players still to come into this starting 11, which is getting me very excited, Justin. You're going to have to talk for a bit, otherwise I'll start neighing again.
We don't want to see that, do we? We don't want to hear that either. But I think this is what we've been expecting to see, a little bit of excitement. It was a really fun performance at times, and they had to weather the storm as well, as you mentioned. But especially in the first half, the play going forwards was really good. Shaky in the second half at times, but that's where the quality came through. You got players like Koki Saito who can come in and really have an impact. Likewise, as I said, his dribble was brilliant. The individuality of that goal was fantastic, and that put QPR in the ascendancy. And yeah, as I say, it's what you'd expect from a team who's packed full of attacking talent. They really were. They were exciting at times. They were a bit risky at times, but that's why they are the dark horse, because they're just going to give you a lot of fun. And I said at the start of the season, they are Vibes FC, and we finally saw it. Yeah,
my dark horse. I don't think anyone else has actually had them as the dark horse, but I look at the starting 11 which they had in this game. You had back in Ilias Chair and one of Kwame Poku or Koki Saito. That is a bloody good all-round team. Mm-hmm. And I think they've gone some way as well to bringing in more depth over the past few weeks, which was a concern for you, wasn't it, over the summer, Justin? Yeah. I'm still slightly worried about the goalkeeper, but as time goes on, I could see this team really flourishing, particularly with Kone up front, who looked really, really dangerous in this game. A turbulent week for Norwich City saw them finishing it with a 2-0 win away at Blackburn. 3 reviews for Norwich. Tant says Joshua Thomas Sargent. Ash says Sargent scores goals for Blackburn. Dave on our Patreon says patience is needed. Joseph says regressed cheap Rovers. Yeah, been a strange few days at Norwich, hasn't it, with a lot of fans completely losing their heads over the Rat being sold to their big rivals, which we'll talk more about shortly. If they lost here, Norwich's Twitter would have made very enjoyable reading as a neutral on Saturday night. So this result lifts a lot of pressure on many people at Norwich City.
Yeah, many people. Not specifically Liam Manning, many people upstairs, you'd argue. But I think the key thing is how good they're looking away from home. I think that's releasing the pressure on Liam Manning a little bit, because how good Norwich have been at home under David Wagner and Johannes Hoff Torup, and you can probably go back a little bit further as well. They've been very good at Carrow Road. It's not quite materialised for Liam Manning yet, which is really ironic because he's a Norwich lad or Norfolk lad, whatever. But it kind of makes that quite funny. But them winning away from home, them getting the 3 points and two goals and a clean sheet. Josh Sargent reiterating why he's the best player or best striker in the Championship. There's a lot of big ticks for this Norwich performance, and obviously it nicely puts that Nunez news to the side. You forget about it a little bit, and you can crack on celebrating a win for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know a lot of Norwich fans will be very annoyed about the Nunez thing, which we will get onto shortly, but I think their best bit of business that they'll do all summer is keeping Josh Sargent,
Absolutely.
which, unless something ridiculous happens in the next 24 hours, looks like it will be happening because, as you say, best striker in the division as far as I'm concerned. The turning point in this game came when Sean McLaughlin was sent off after giving away a penalty as the last man, which I don't think he can really have many complaints about. But Blackburn did have chances to get back into this. How Augustus Cargbo didn't score, I have no idea. Ryan Hedges had a good chance too. So, yeah, Blackburn will be looking at this very disappointed. But a big 3 points for Norwich, just to calm the nerves a bit, Justin, because it has been fascinating watching the meltdown in the Norwich fan base at Nunez being sold to Ipswich. There was one Norwich fan who wore a Nunez shirt to Blackburn away, which had Rat and Judas written on it. However, the biggest meltdown of all has come from a fairly surprising source. Former Norwich winger Onel Hernandez. He posted a 13-minute video giving his thoughts on Nunez going to Ipswich, where he said if he gets the chance to play against him, he will fucking break him.
He's not going to get the chance, though, is he? Let's be honest. Come on.
He's probably not, but still, this is top class stuff, Justin.
It is top class stuff. It's a head's gone, isn't it? It's a proper head's gone. I think the most intriguing thing about this clip is it looks like he's filmed it in like a compound,
like a bunker.
Yeah, and it's probably his home gym, and he's clearly much wealthier than I am. But I know, please decorate whatever your situation is. Come on, because that made it look like a hostage video, and that maybe he was being made to record that against his will, but he wasn't. And that's again the choice to do that was even funnier.
Yeah. It's
bizarre.
really, really funny. I didn't watch the whole 13 minutes, but I've seen the clips, mainly because the 13 minutes he was going on a bit. But yeah,
really?
But yeah, just threatening to fucking break another player who
it's not worth losing
they
friends
were teammates
for,
with
yeah.
last season. Yeah, it's just really, really funny. It's entertaining seeing this being broadcast live to the world, and he has made some interesting social media decisions over the years as Onel Hernandez. He's very hot on his TikTok, shall we say? But yeah, this was top class content. So more of this, please. He may actually play against Marcelino Nunez at some point this season, because I believe he's been training with Sheffield Wednesday. So if they finally get permission to sign players, he may be one that goes there, and then I will be counting down the days until Ipswich versus Sheffield Wednesday, because that sounds like it could be a juicy one. By the way, have you seen who Blackburn have signed, Justin? They've spent around £2 million on Hent striker Andy Gudjonsson, who is the son of none other than proper Barclaysman Ida Gudjohnsen. That's what we like to see, Justin.
It's really good stuff. I'll be honest with you, Blackburn's recruitment this summer is like... It's been interesting. It's been very, very interesting. But if you're signing the son of a Barclaysman in Ida Gudjohnsen, who by his own right was a very gifted goal scorer at Premier League level, and play for Barcelona as well. Hopefully that's transcended to his son a little bit, and we can hope he picks up at Blackburn because they need it.
Yeah, I believe I'm right in saying that Ida Gudjohnsen was the first, and as far as I'm aware, only footballer ever to replace his dad as a sub for the Icelandic national team. And now Ida Gudjohnsen's son is playing professional football. So look at that. What a family tree that is. Producer Tom, can you just pop up on my screen a sec and give me a thumbs up or thumbs down? Do you know who Ida Gudjohnsen is? Thumbs up. Yes, good. Just wanted to make sure because producer Tom is unbearably young. And we'll finish off, Justin, with Wrexham, who got their first victory of the season, winning 2-0 away at Millwall. 3 reviews for Wrexham. Randy on our Patreon says, finally a win. Craig says, you've been parkied for Millwall. Michael says, fuck Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, we thought the Ipswich equaliser was late. The second goal for Wrexham in this came in the 109th minute, nearly 20 minutes of added time, which is insane, isn't it? It's also insane, Justin, that Millwall lost this football match.
It was a proper shithousing performance, which is again really ironic because it's Millwall, I know, but yeah, this was a proper smash and grab from Wrexham. But you take them all day. Again, a little bit of irony that Wrexham have been creating a hell of a lot of chances this season, been one of the better chance creators in the season so far in the division. To this game, they weren't. Millwall should have won this. They should have won this. Absolutely should have got the 3 points. 21 shots from Millwall, lion's share of possession. You know what? Exactly what you want away from home from Wrexham, isn't it? You want those types of wins, and they got it.
Lion's share of shots, not intended there as a pun from Justin Peach. But yeah, Alex Neil will be wondering how his side didn't get something. In the first 89 minutes, Justin, Wrexham had just 3 shots. And the goal came from the keeper, Stephen Bender, coming out, which he didn't really need to do for a cross against Kiefer Moore, the last player you want to be challenging for a cross for. And then the second goal in the 19th minute of stoppage time really just killed it off. And that's 2 losses from 2 at home for the Wall. In both games, they'll probably think the scoreline doesn't reflect the game. But a big result for Wrexham, and I can't say I've been very impressed with them so far, if I'm being completely honest, but it's something to build on, isn't it? James McLean did say he was looking forward to Millwall away the most, didn't he, in the summer, and he had a nice time there at the very least, even though I imagine he got a fair bit of stick along the way. But Wrexham are expected to be one of those who are busy on deadline day. The latest signing, very eye-catching one, Ben Sheaf from Coventry City. What a move that would be, Justin.
Well, you touted him to play for England not too long ago, if I remember rightly.
That's a slight misquote. I said it wouldn't be the most ridiculous decision if England did call him up, because he was the kind of player that England needed in midfield. Which says a lot, because I'm a big Ben Sheaf fan, Justin, as we all know by now on this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. You are a big Ben Sheaf fan. I think that's the thing we need to take away here. It would be probably the most impressive signing that Wrexham pull off this summer, despite all the lights and the glamour that they will put around certain transfers. But this would be massive. Ben Sheaf, when fit, can do it all in midfield. I know his goal scoring record, and he's creatively, there's a lot to be desired there. But in terms of being a robust, defensively minded midfielder, he's going to add so much steel to that midfield in Wrexham. I'm just, for me, I feel that if Ben Sheaf is fit alongside Matt Grimes, Coventry are a much better team than without Ben Sheaf, who's fit, if that makes sense. So I'm a little bit surprised at this. I know they've got Victor Torp, but when things get a little bit tough mid-season, you want Ben Sheaf in there. But yeah, this £6.5 million could be an absolute steal for Wrexham.
Yeah, I can't believe Coventry are getting rid of him either, because you're absolutely right. This would be Wrexham's best signing by far in my eyes. He's possibly been the best midfielder in the Championship over the last 3 or 4 years. I don't think he was as effective last season, but he's still only 27 and will go a hell of a long way to making them more solid in midfield. Unbelievable passer of the ball as well. Just looking at their team, he is exactly what they need, a bit of steel in midfield. And I mean, a partnership of him and Lewis O'Brien is without a doubt
nice.
one of the best in the division, isn't it? And as you say, reportedly getting him for $6.5 million. We have been pretty critical of Wrexham and how we think they have overspent on certain players. I think $6.5 million might actually be on the cheap side for a player as good as Ben Sheaf is, still in his prime years to go as well. Yeah, I cannot praise that move enough. That is a big statement move from Wrexham. However, they have seen players go the other way. Justin, Ollie Palmer has left Wrexham. He was one of their longest serving players, having been with them since they were in non-league. Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney both posted goodbye messages to him on social media, which is sad, isn't it, Justin?
It is sad. I think this is worth discussing, that the characters that have been built up, and I do call them characters because they've been part of this documentary series for a couple of years. I feel like you get bigger characters in the lower leagues than you do in the Championship, because I can't see Kiefer Moore being as interesting as Ollie Palmer. No disrespect to him.
Oh, right. You mean for entertainment value on the documentary? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. These guys, you get to this level, the media trains to a T, and they're surprisingly quite bland. They don't give much away. So the documentary series, could get a little bit more boring.
I'm not sure it's the case with everyone. I think James McLean may disagree with you on that.
That's why he's still there. It's the only reason why he's still there.
Also, maybe a bit harsh. Let's do the polls, Justin. This is the part of the show where we give the listeners 3 questions on Twitter because we want to get their thoughts on everything to do with the Championship. Firstly, who's the best striker in the Championship? Josh Sargent, Jay Stansfield, or Haji Wright?
Cole Morris, goodness me. No, I go Josh Sargent. It's something you retain. There's no better striker in the league than him. He's so clinical, so clinical.
I wanted to put Carlton Morris in there, Justin, but I didn't want to get accused of Derby bias. 73% of people said Josh Sargent. It's not even a poll. It's just been decided outright, just like that. 73% said Josh Sargent, 18% said Haji Wright, 9% said Jay Stansfield. What should Sheffield United do? Keep Rubén Sellés, sack Rubén Sellés, sack Rubén Sellés and get Chris Wilder back.
I feel like if they are going to sack Rubén Sellés now, you probably do have to bring Chris Wilder back, but he would have so much power over the club that's just not going to happen. Sorry, not the club, the current owners. It just will not happen. But that's the romantic decision, isn't it?
They can't get Chris Wilder back. They'll look like such idiots getting him back after just a few months. But at the same time, come on now. I think they should keep Rubén Sellés, but I'm not sure they will, because it seems like when I saw that video of the Sheffield United fans just booing him right in the face.
But we saw with QPR losing 7-1 last week and winning 3-1 this week how much things can change off the back of a result. So could all change.
They have lost all 4 games, Justin, and been shite in every game. So it's a bit different.
It's Sheffield United's worst start for, I genuinely cannot find, when researching the stats, I cannot find when they've last started this poorly. It goes back a very, 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 very long way, and I simply just get bored looking. It's just a bad start.
Well, there you go. That gives you a good idea, that, doesn't it? 39% of people said keep Rubén Sellés. 38% said sack Rubén Sellés. 23% said sack Rubén Sellés and get Chris Wilder back. And finally, do you think spiders are getting bigger, yes or no?
I've seen one spider. I've seen one spider this summer. Quite sad about it. I don't like spiders because, frankly, there might be less flies in my house. And I don't live in a terrible place, but flies, you leave the door open for the dog, flies will get in. I feel like less flies will get in if there's spiders patrolling. There's not. It's been crap. Terrible.
Okay. Yeah, I think spiders are getting bigger because I nearly shat myself when I was on the sofa the other day and saw my dog suddenly looking at something going across the floor, and it was this gigantic, humongous behemoth that I thought was probably going to eat poor Derek the dog if he had the chance. So I had to get a bloody... It wasn't just a normal pint glass, Justin. This was a big, thick pint glass that I had to dispose of this spider with, because otherwise I think it actually may have killed us. Not all heroes wear capes. 58% of people said yes, spiders are getting bigger. 42% said no. So there you go. Those have been the polls, ladies and gents. And this has been the Second Tier Podcast. We'll be back again tomorrow for our live stream on YouTube at 6 p.m. covering the transfer deadline day actions. Make sure you join us then. We'll be answering your questions along the way as well. It's going to be very exciting stuff. If you're a Patreon subscriber or a YouTube community member, don't go anywhere. We've got the extended edition of the weekend show coming up, which we like to call Zamora Time. We'll be talking about spiders more, Jose Mourinho in the Championship and West Ham in the Championship. If you're not a Patreon subscriber, sign up to get Zamora Time in every single weekend show. And for YouTube members, your Zamora Time is available exclusively to you as the next video uploaded to the channel. You can also click the card that will appear at the end of this video. If you're not signed up yet, audio listeners can head over to patreon.com/second tier. Link is in the description of this episode. And for YouTube viewers, just hit the join icon right next to the subscribe button on our channel page. But that's just about time for us here on the Second Tier Podcast. We'll be back again tomorrow with the live stream. Otherwise, we'll be back again on Thursday. This has been the Second Tier Podcast. I've been Ryan Dilks.
I've been Justin Peach.
And a big thank you for listening.